It's almost 5 o'clock. We'll see how well this does. Oh. Hopefully today we'll have a lot better reception. Yesterday was good and up to a point. So it looks like we might have a snowball's chance in hell. We'll stick to the flute tradition. I'll play a little. Hello, welcome. I guess I'm a little late. It's not 5 o'clock yet, but 4 o'clock is usually when I start this. What would you do if I sang out of tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me? Welcome to this episode of Kung Fu. Remember in Kill Bill, Bill was telling a story about Pai Mei, and he was playing a flute? Pai Mei was insulted. And he kicked everybody's ass. All because he failed to give a gesture. No, he failed to respond to his gesture. He was very generous that day. I'm sticking to the flute tradition. So I guess Arthur might be present, and X-Trigger is present. I'd like to acknowledge my peeps, my loyal attendees for my powwows. When playing the recording, you must blow very gently, or it will squeak. So I noticed if I go past 40 minutes, I start having that technical difficulty. The audio works, but not the visual. There's a flute/weapon. It's called a shakuhachi. It's a Japanese flute that can also be used as a weapon. And maybe next time I'm on eBay, I'll order a shakuhachi, and I can bring it to show and tell today, or not today, but when I get a shakuhachi. So I get some people from UK from time to time commenting on my videos, and I like that. I'm glad to reach out across the pond. So now they have King William. King William is the presiding king, or the actual king of England now, because I think last year was when Queen Elizabeth passed away. As they say, long live the king. Let me know if you get tired of hearing the flute. It's a recorder. I hear this is referred to as a recorder, but I call it a flute. It sounds like a flute to me. You like it? Does it take you to Asia, parts of Asia? Trying to do the Harry Potter theme. That sounds like a sickly Harry Potter. Let's go to Hogwarts, shall we? That somewhat sounds like the Harry Potter theme. Da 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 da. Family Guy made fun of that song. And another. My brother does Herbert the Pervert really well. He does that whistle. I can't do the whistle all the time. But he talks with a real soft voice. Bring your little body in. Go into my basement. There's some popsicles. Maybe somebody will be gracious enough to leave a like. And then I won't be offended. Thank you. I'll tell another story about Pai Mei. Don't eat rice with your fingers. It's considered very barbaric. Uma Thurman was subjected to a lot when she was being taught by Pai Mei. She had to punch a hole through that big piece of wood. But it helped her escape from the grave. I've heard that actually happened. That was taken from a true story. Somebody was buried alive and they punched their way out. That's a lot to work through. 6 feet of dirt. I think Mythbusters took on that myth. When the weight of all that dirt coming down, it'd be very hard to dig because you have no leverage. Practice. I need lots of practice. The trick is to blow softly through your woodwind instrument. If I can stutter while I talk. Okay, now it's time to breathe. Playing flute can make me lightheaded. I brought to show and tell my Viking, my Pakistani. I think it was made in Pakistan. No, India. This one's made in India. My lovely Viking weapon. The Greeks also had a kind of handle like this. Greeks and Romans later had the gladius, but this is a very long, heavy sword that has a blood groove. A feelings ring. I don't know. I don't have a feelings ring. I don't have a remember 'em either. A feelings ring. What movie is that from? Was that from? I don't remember. I don't remember that from Harry Potter. The feelings ring. I remember the one ring to rule them all, and in the darkness bind them. There are many rings. The ring I have, this one, my lapis lazuli. They call it the divine, the stone of the gods. Lapis lazuli. The Egyptians had this or dug this up. Yes. It kind of looks Egyptian. It's got little ribs on it. Little pretty ribs. I think this has yeah, the 925. I think it's coated with something. I don't think it's real silver. The way you could tell you have real lapis lazuli is with pyrite. There's pyrite always in. If you look real close, you can see pieces of pyrite. They call it fool's gold, the iron pyrite. I have the power. That was from He-Man. He-Man was a cartoon back in the 80s. By the power of Grayskull. That was an attempt at humor sometimes. Cringer, I think was his tiger's name. Cringer would turn into some kind of an armored tiger. So I have this thing I'm doing now. When people donate $5 to Ed's Heart, I say something for them, which is kind of funny because, like, if you want to tell somebody you want to break up with them, or you want to tell somebody that they need to move out of their basement, or tell somebody they need to be a little nicer, or quit being a jerk, quit being a jerk to your girlfriend, or something like that, I can say it for them. Because sometimes people don't. It's funnier when you have somebody else say it. Like, I used your toothbrush to clean the. I used your toothbrush to clean the fish tank, or something like that. Or I'm sorry. I'm sorry I didn't. I told you I didn't have time to go to your party. I really did, or something like that. It'd be kind of funny. Like confessionals also. If people want to confess something to an old friend, something that they got away with their mother. Maybe they lied to their mom, or they let their dog poop in somebody's yard, and they just want to say they're sorry. So I'll be kind of like a go-between, or a messenger. I could be a messenger. Because I'm getting people to donate. I'm trying to get people to donate to Ed's Heart. And I think $5 is a reasonable charge to convey a message. What I'll do is I'll make a short. Um, telling what the person wanted to say. Remember that time in high school? You know, I wanted to go to the ball game instead of a birthday party, or something like that. A little confessional. They say confession is good for the soul. I can convey confessions to people as long as no one gets in trouble. It's kind of like a singing telegram, you know. I could probably do a singing telegram. Happy birthday to you. Your test results came up negative. Happy birthday to you. It's still about 50 degrees out here. I think it was 50 degrees the last time I checked. So this is another one for the record. My last live stream was 42, got 42 views. It started out with 3 views. So maybe I'm on a roll here. Maybe there's some roll, or this would be a good way for an advertising platform. What I can do is advertise for people. Like the Super Bowl, sometimes they'll have people pay for advertising, and people can pay me, and I can talk about their product. That way I could make some kickback while I'm doing this. Some people have fun things to advertise, like a new store that's opening up, or a mom and pop's bakery, or a mom and pop's restaurant. I can advertise for them. They could pay me some scratch. I'd like to be independent like that. Why not? Because people, when they have shows, they advertise for others. They'll have like Knucklehead Motorcycles. Check them out. Or over on Charlie Watts, there's a Harley Davidson, show, store or something like that. That's where I pick up my medication. It's called Charlie Watts. The Walgreens on Charlie Watts. I like saying Charlie Watts. That's where I go to pick up my medication. Charlie Watts. Kind of like Charlie M. You let me pop your eyes out for Charlie M? These balloon heads tried to bang us out of $100,000. I like that Casino movie. That was pretty good. Casino. What other ones? Goodfellas. They were called Wise Guys. Somebody already took that title, so they called them Goodfellas instead. I hear that's a pretty accurate movie, an accurate depiction of Cosa Nostra. It's nice to be outside again. This is good weather we're having lately. Cloudless skies, no rain. There's no rain. All I can do is read a book to stay awake. It's a great escape. It's not sane. I like that song. If you've seen the video, it's pretty cool. It's about this little bumblebee the girl dresses a bumblebee who does dances. And it makes me cry when I watch that video. I think it's Blind Melon, or not Blind Melon, Sublime. I'm trying to remember the name of that. Oh, there's our black cat. It's way off in the distance. I don't know if I could catch it. My black cat shows up from time to time. I guess we got a barking dog in the distance. Oh, this is not the haircut for cold weather. I'll have to wear my Emperor Palpatine. Look like Emperor Palpatine with my funny hood. This is much warmer, but it messes with my hearing. I can hear okay, but it sounds like I have a pillow on each ear when I hood up. Yeah, this is a lot better. My Jimmy Hoffa haircut, and my cut buzzed on the sides to make it look like I have ears. This sword needs to be sharpened. I want to sharpen it. It'll take some time. I need to get a belt sander. See if my brother has a belt sander that I could use to put a nice edge. It can still work though. If a sword isn't sharpened, it can still cut. If you look at old Viking swords, they always have gaps because I guess when they make sword to sword contact, The samurai, they don't do sword to sword contact because they don't want to mess up their blades. They're very sharp. They always, with their training, they don't strike their swords against each other. They always like evade and then slice, and you can cut somebody in half with a katana. They are very sharp. The bamboo, I get not bamboo. They're grass. I guess they're mats. They have mats that are rolled up, and they swing those katanas. They're like a simulation of a limb. So yeah, they can cut through a limb pretty easily, quite easily, with finesse. These are pretty good against armor. I guess, chainmail. They could poke through chainmail, unless it's welded. I like the welded chainmail. That's much more protection. But then a katana, they did a Viking demonstration. The Viking chainmail katana can cut through the Viking tin mail, or not tin mail, chainmail, which is kind of demoralizing. You think you're protected under your chainmail. They used chainmail before plate armor. Chainmail is quite easy to wear. They also had cloth. They had like a cloth overlay first, and then they put on the chainmail, and it can protect you against slashes. So we have two people so far, one watcher and one chatter. I'm glad our reception is pretty good today. I think around 5 o'clock or so, maybe the satellites don't align. I really like getting comments every once in a while. When I get somebody puts a comment in my live stream, sometimes it's usually a person who missed my live stream. I'll be glad to see that Barney guy again. There's the guy who has a Barney as their logo. I think logo came from the word create. That's a Greek word for create. There's a lot of Greek words we use, like polyp. The word polyp in Greek means little foot. Clitoris means little hill. Logos means to create. That's where you get the word logo from. Fun facts. So I have one loyal, probably two loyal people. I'm looking forward to when I get at least 10 people. But then that's a lot of chatting going on. But then there are the people who watch the video after it's completed, after the live stream is done. I've noticed a lot of people. I get a lot. Well, we got 3 people. How about that? Who's the second? I don't know. Acknowledge. Let us know who you are. Yeah, who's the? So we had 3. Now we got 2. Hopefully the reception will keep up. I'm thinking maybe it's the satellites. I don't know if satellites have anything to do with Wi-Fi. Maybe it interrupts the Wi-Fi. I need to look up what Wi-Fi means. I know it's an acronym. Let's. Greetings. I see a new logo up there. So thank you for joining. I like to see new faces, new people. And then I also like to see the loyal ones. Trigger's been pretty loyal. Seems like it's like every time I have a live stream, Trigger chimes in, so that's cool. X Trigger. That's X Trigger to you. What's your mutant power? X sounds like X-Men. Oh, I didn't mean to scare the cat. I'll have to play more softly, I guess. Flute music is supposed to be soothing. We could watch a butterfly flutter by. Once upon a time, there was a giant who just wanted to make friends. And he had to watch where he stepped. There we go. I hope I didn't scare any cats with that one. There's a scaredy cat, but there's a cat that is easily scared. I'm going to ignore those numbers because I'm pretty sure I've got at least 3 viewers or 3 people. They say Hercules had to be careful who he shook hands with because I hear he would easily crush hands. That'd be terrible. You want to introduce yourself to Hercules or Heracles? I think that's the way they say it in Greek, Heracles. And you don't want to shake hands with Hercules. He'll crush your hand. He did a lot of cool things. He saved Prometheus from being eaten by an eagle, because that was his punishment. He stole fire from Helios. Oh, here we go. T. Harrison. Sandurfin. We have 2 new people, it looks like. Thank you for joining. I'm showing off my Viking sword for show and tell today. It's not an original. It's not an authentic sword. It feels pretty good. It feels like an actual sword. I like to do some mock battles. It's all fun and games until you're in a real battle. Wow, I lost 3 people just like that. At least they popped in and said hi. Oh, we're back to 3 again. You like the sword, eh? I think I have at least 3 swords, if you count a machete. A machete is kind of like a sword. I've always wanted a gladius. Gladiuses are pretty cool. Get as close as I can to an authentic gladius. Or a kopis. There's the Greek sword called the kopis. It is a Viking, supposed to be a Viking sword. It's got a nice metal end to the hilt, or not the hilt, the scabbard. And it's yeah, it's got that Scandinavian design. I like it. It's got a good finger guard, so you don't lose your fingers. And it's pretty heavy. I like it. If you're not a good swordsman, at least you can chop really hard. You can split wood with it, cut through chain mail with the tip. So it's a... Yes, I have Machete with Danny Trejo. That's a... I don't think that's a Quentin Tarantino movie, but it's a guy who made Planet Terror. Planet Terror, yeah. I think he also made Machete. I think Quentin Tarantino has a hand in Machete. Machete don't text. Machete. Lindsay Lohan was in that. I think she did a cameo in Machete. And then there was Machete Kills with Alexa Vega was in Machete Kills. I think she was in Machete. Michelle Rodriguez, I think, was also in Machete Kills. A lot of Latin people were in those movies. There was Death Proof was a good movie with Rosario Dawson and Kurt Russell. Those are some good movies. A lot of cussing, a lot of ass kicking. So we've got. Yes, I do like movies. Can I cut the bush? I don't know. Probably it's not sharp. It needs to be sharpened. This is it's made in India, so it's not a real Viking sword. But it's I could probably bluntly cut a bush, but it would be anticlimactic if I stood up and swung this at a bush. It'd probably just hit the bush and knock off a few leaves. But I need to get a sharpener. I can get this really, put a nice edge on it. Then I can throw up apples or something like that. Have somebody throw apples at me and see if I can slice an apple in midair. It probably, you could, it's the swinging is kind of slow because it's such a heavy sword. It's a one-handed sword. It's not like maybe a hand and a half sword. They call them hand and a half swords. You can grip it, get a good swinging power. You can probably block pretty well. Ninja suit. That's right. I had a ninja suit one time. It had pockets where you can hide your throwing stars. And then there have ninjas. I hear didn't dress up like that. They blended in pretty well. They knew about poisons, curatives, and spying. They were spies as well as assassins. In Hawaii, there were a lot of Japanese immigrants, and yeah, I didn't. There was Japanese programming in Hawaii too. You could watch Japanese samurai movies, and before there were Power Rangers, they had a lot of shows where people dressed up like Power Rangers and they fought giants. Godzilla movies were my favorite. Godzilla versus Megalon, that was a pretty good show. I had that on DVD. Every once in a while on YouTube. Yes, they did. Ninja means shadow warrior, and their training is really extensive. They did a lot of eye exercises because they needed to have really good vision, and they could walk very quietly, and the weapons were pretty cool. They had like a ring that they wore. Looks like a regular ring, but it had spikes on the inside, and also they had claws. They could climb, scale buildings and walk on roofs without being heard. And I'm pretty sure they did dress up in those ninja suits because they didn't want to be seen at night. It was easier to hide with the suits, and but most of the time they looked like farmers. They looked like just people you'd see anywhere, and they had all their secret weapons. And they would be hired mostly to spy and to assassinate, and I forget what other duties they had, but I think daimyos, shoguns, they would hire ninjas to do certain tasks, and then there were the ronin. The ronin were the samurai who didn't have a shogun or a daimyo. They kind of worked independently, and there were times when samurai didn't have any battles, so they were mostly like police officers. That was pretty strict rules. Like if you saw on their kimono, they had certain badges, and if you didn't bow down, you could lose your head. If you didn't bow down when you saw the insignias or the symbols on their on their kimonos, that showed that they were a samurai. Another way to get killed was if you had a katana that wasn't yours, you take apart the katana, and on the tang would be who the sword belonged to, and if you had a sword that belonged to somebody else, you get their head cut off. And They had like seppuku and harakiri. Harakiri means belly cutting. Seppuku was suicide. And if they were dishonored, I know that'd be terrible. It's like, oh, I didn't see the badge. Off with your head. Or I didn't see the patch. Patches, even in motorcycle clubs, are pretty important. Patches. If you wear a patch that you didn't earn, you could get in lots of trouble. Maybe even killed or beat up. Tattoos. Tattoos are also something you didn't want to have. I've heard they burn it off or cut it off. And then there's the Yakuza. Yakuza, you could lose fingers. And their tattoos signified who they were, what gang they were in. The Yakuza, they they would have a V that wasn't tattooed so their skin could breathe. And the most popular tattoo with the Yakuza was the, the cherry blossom, because cherry blossoms, they're there for a short time and then they disappear. And it was kind of telling the story of the Yakuza. You never had somebody who was Yakuza for a really long time. And Yakuza was a card hand. I mean, card numbers in a card game. Yakuza. I think those are numbers. I forget which numbers they were, but they were the Japanese mafia. And that's what little I know. Japan has a lot of culture that goes back for thousands of years. The Huns wouldn't even mess with them. The Huns tried to mess with the. Yeah, they are. I have a video about that has cherry blossoms because there's on Main Street in downtown. They have there's some cherry trees, and I think they're the male trees. They don't have the cherries actually growing on them, but they smell nice too. And it always looks like it's snowing when the cherry blossoms start breaking off, all the petals. That was also featured in Kill Bill when Oren Ishii was fighting with Uma Thurman's character. There were cherry blossoms. That really is a Hattori Hanzo sword, when she lost the top of her head. That's pretty fierce. That is pretty brutal when you're in a sword fight and you lose the top of your head. It's like being scalped, only it cuts into your coconut. So yes, the Ninja Warrior. They were really popular back in the 80s. I hope you have a great day also. Thank you for joining. Even if it is for a little while. I need to learn to wear my stocking cap. I don't have I didn't put on my stocking cap today. I'm starting to regret it. I can feel the cold gripping my head. I guess I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's rude to put a hood on. If you wear a hoodie, you're up to no goody. That's what I had. I think Geraldo Rivera said that. Geraldo Rivera. He was a pretty good talk show host. I think back in the 80s, in the 90s, they used to have a lot of good. That was before Oprah Winfrey. There was Geraldo Rivera. It's still light out, and it is 5:30. We've been up to this for about 39 minutes, and we have no interruptions, no technical difficulty. This is my test. When I can do this, and I see myself move. So I think we have one person. Maybe I'm talking too much. I don't know. Some people. I don't ask enough questions of my viewers. So I try to do at least 3 shorts a day with comedy or what movie is this from. So hopefully I'm not sitting here by myself right now. I got 1 like. I cherish the likes. So some people had to go. Some people, yeah. So I've been doing this for about a half an hour so far. So maybe somebody is still watching. I'll look for signs. I'll look for signs that somebody is still with me today. Or yeah. before it gets too cold and too dark. So we're back to 0 again. I guess maybe that's it for now. I've done this for about 40 minutes and I got 1 like. So if no one is chatting right now, I could probably end this episode. Go in and get warm, have some hot cocoa or something. The coffee I must have drank was probably decaffeinated. I had some Dunkin'. They say America runs on Dunkin'. So I thank those who joined me today. It was good talking to you. Let me know where you're from is always cool. I like hearing from people, knowing where they're from. I had one guy from Tampa Bay, Florida, one guy from the UK, one guy from Japan, and one guy from Romania. So I guess I'm off to a good start. I'm back to 1 again, it looks like. So 1 means 2, 0 means 1, 2 is 1 and 1 is none. I'll get to my rhyming. Time for the... Whereabouts is that? Is it a town in a country, or is it a... I got to get better at my geography. They don't teach much about geography. Usually in high school, it's mostly just reading, writing, arithmetic, and what's going on in the news. Oh, Atlanta, Georgia? I'm in Dallas, Georgia. I will flute softly so I don't scare any cats. Atlanta. I went to a Dragon Con in Atlanta. It was yeah. They had a parade for Dragon Con. It was pretty cool. They had a lot to see. I wish I would have had my camera back then. I think every time I go to a function like that, I need to bring a camera. Even if I borrow one, I can upload to my channel the video. Some of those parades are pretty cool. They had I play a harmonica. I didn't bring my harmonica out here. I always have to go and run and get my instruments, and also a jaw harp, or Jew harp, jaw harp. Kind of sounds like hillbilly music. I have a neat instrument that sounds like a xylophone. What I'll try to do is bring out a different instrument each time I have a live stream, so I don't bore you with too much flute music. My flute music. I always like hearing the flute because it makes me think of Asia, makes me think of Native American music. I used to have a drum. Oh, cool. Who makes it? Is it Honor or Ridley? Ridley makes the one I have, and I used to have a Honor a long time ago. The Honor was given to me by a friend. I don't know what happened to it. It must have been lost when I moved. I had to leave behind a lot of stuff. I was quite the collector when I lived in California. I should bring a tissue. Somehow cold air makes my nose run. I gotta catch it. I like hearing the sound of a harmonica too. Harmonicas and banjos. Oh, okay. If it's an old one, it's probably an antique. I think after every 30 years, something becomes an antique. 20 to, I think it's 30 to 40 years. It's pretty cool to have. Oh yeah, when it gets cold. What's even grosser is when your face is cold and you don't know your nose is running and you got a little drip going down your nose. Like when it gets to be like 30 degrees or 20 degrees. No, yeah, around 30 or 40 degrees and your face gets cold and you start getting a runny nose and you're always checking to see if you got a drip. People don't always tell you things like that. People like if you cut yourself shaving, or or your hair is blowing around. Nobody ever really tells you. You don't know until you look in the mirror that you're really looking freaky. Or if your zipper's down, nobody tells you your zipper's down. You just kind of notice it. It's like, oh wow, I just walked through the entire mall and my zipper was down. Or if you've got a smudge on your face, sometimes you're working on your car or you touch some charcoal and you touch your face and you get some smudge. Like Hermione when she said, "You've got dirt on your nose. Did you know?" It's like, nope. Thank you for telling me. Oh, so yeah, I'll have to bring some more instruments. What I want to do, I should get a handbag and just put all my instruments in it. They could probably all fit in there. Then I can play requests. That'll make this. I think what I'll do tomorrow is bring my machete out, and maybe I'll chop things with my machete for entertainment purposes. Get a bag of apples. I I played like a harmonica and my jaw harp, and also I don't know what to call it, but it's kind of like an oval shape. No, it's a circular. Kind of looks like a UFO, and it makes a sound like a xylophone. Kind of sounds like bells when you hit it. I'll have to bring that out. So that's what I'll do. I'll bring out an instrument each time I come out. I'll sit out here and play some songs for you, just for just for fun. Then I could probably get better. Then I could put a hat. I'll put out a handkerchief and then put my hat on the handkerchief and see how many people drop dollar bills into my hat while I play harmonica. I could take requests. I have a fire pit. I have to get stuff to burn in it though. I'll have to go around and collect a bunch of firewood. That'd be kind of cool. Have a fire pit. Then I can scoot the table back and put the fire pit in front of me and just start throwing pine cones. Once a year we get lots of pine cones. I guess those would burn pretty well. That'd be cool if we could have a harmonica get together, like a harmonicon, a harmonica convention, where everybody gets together with their harmonicas, and then have each person gets up on stage. That's pretty cool. Just sit back and get warmed by your Christmas tree. It probably smells good too. I like the fir trees and the pine trees. I think it's a fir tree that people normally cut for a Christmas tree. In the olden days, they would light the tree up with candles, which I'm pretty sure would cause a lot of fires. Way back when it was called a Tannenbaum. I think the Germans called it Tannenbaum. It was a pagan tradition. I know, yeah. They are dry. Anything dry would burn pretty good, pretty well. Pine needles, pine cones. Pine needles smoke a lot. If you want to drive away mosquitoes, try burning pine needles. Also burning manure. If you burn cow manure. It drives away mosquitoes. I think it would drive away a lot of things. So it's nice chatting with you all. I hope you like my background here, my actual forest, what's left of the forest. I want to keep it preserved. Maybe Sasquatch or some. I don't think any deer will come up from back there. Yeah. The moist causes the crackling in the fire. The crackling and the popping. I've noticed that when I'm cooking too. You don't want to put any water near your pot or pan, especially if you have grease in the pot or pan. You're trying to cook bacon and some water gets in there and grease just starts popping and flying everywhere. Yesterday we were cooking patties, beef patties, and there was just a lot of grease going everywhere. I think beef patties are good for the grill. I know. You have to sacrifice something when you live in the city. Sasquatch! Sasquatch means hairy man. I forget which tribe has that language, but it means hairy man. I used to think it meant Bigfoot. If you say Sasquatch, you're talking about Bigfoot. So Sasquatch, yeah. I always used to think that how Sasquatch walks among us, he just shaves. He goes into the barber shop and he has somebody shave him, and then he just looks like one of us with his bare skin, you know. If he shaves really well, he probably just looks like one of us. And that's why we never see. I like seeing those. There's T-shirts that say "Hide and Seek Champion," and it's got a picture of a silhouette of Sasquatch on it. It always makes me laugh. Hide and Seek Champion. Nobody ever sees. They always talk about Sasquatch. There was a video of. You could see his Sasquatch's eyes, or a Sasquatch. You could see the top half of his face looking into a window, and it was pretty convincing. They say they have a language of Sasquatch, if you're into cryptozoology. So they have the Loch Ness Monster, Sasquatch, and the Chupacabra, and the Mothman. I used to hear a lot about that on Coast to Coast AM at 10 o'clock. George Norrie would come on and he'd talk about cryptozoology and UFOs, and the ghost ones were the ones I liked the most. I know, yeah. You see a lot of stubble. He's got the 5 o'clock shadow. The, they presented some alien bodies. I noticed like there was some video of little alien bodies that they found, and it turned out. Yeah. It would take a lot of not shaving. I think that's what we looked like at one time. We were just covered in hair, kind of like the orangutan and the gorillas and monkeys. They had body hair. Some people had a lot of body hair back in the 60s and 70s. Back before there was bikini waxing. People were covered in hair. I think it's the end of the Ice Age. I think we're starting another Ice Age is what I've heard. It's starting to feel that way. This is only October. No, November. We're already in November. Today is the second day of November, and it's 50 degrees here. Yeah, they also had, they alleged that there was a Sasquatch body also, and I think they didn't. They thought that was a hoax also. They have fake alien bodies, fake fairy bodies, like the merman. I know, yeah. It's always something neat to ponder. You know what creatures are actually out there. Sometimes they think creatures are extinct and they find them later. There's some creatures that I see that you found eggs in an alien body. Tell me more. There's a lot that we don't see, a lot that the news doesn't cover. UFOs are being seen a lot in Mexico, Area 51, places like that. Unidentified flying objects. They're calling them something else. They have another acronym for these craft that we see floating around in the air, lights that appear and disappear. Sometimes meteors. I remember seeing a comet. I think it was a Hale-Bopp comet back in the 90s. There was the Hale-Bopp comet flew by, and every night you could see it in the sky. Sometimes I've seen planets. You look at the eastern sky, certain times of the year, you can see the planet Venus. I'm pretty sure I saw Jupiter. You could see it with the naked eye. I saw an alignment one time, planet alignment. I know, yeah. Sometimes when I look at insects, I think they might be aliens. Maybe they hopped a ride somehow. Like even plants, plant life, and insects, and some creatures, they look like they came from other planets. So maybe they're already here. We just are so used to seeing them, it doesn't bother them anymore. And some aliens, I guess, look just like us. They talk about the Pleiadians. Do I tell jokes? I saw the part of that. I got to make sure I look at those chats. They pop up and then they fade right in the middle of what. Mostly, I tell jokes on my channel. That way, only my viewers get to see my jokes or listen to my jokes. I know, yeah. They talk about hybrids. They're always messing with our DNA. They say that's how we became who we are. They started messing with, even ancient writings talk about that. They talk about how the Anunnaki, they they came here and they needed to mine gold, so they started to, uh, they just needed workers, so they started messing with the DNA of the creatures here, and they came out with us. Interesting to think about. And then they say Prometheus, the Titan Prometheus, created the human race. I think I mentioned that earlier in this show, or in this particular live stream. Those are interesting things to ponder. How do we know so much? In such a little time. For thousands of years, people just had bows and arrows and spears, but ancient Greece had automatons. They actually had robots, but they were like steampunk robots. And now we're getting into AI. We're getting into so many advanced technologies, and they allude to the fact that we got that they got that we got the knowledge from aliens, which is kind of interesting to think about. How could we go from just using flint knapping and starting fire with sticks and twigs to Bic lighters and torches, blow torches? It's like, wow, how did we get so advanced in such a little time? Because we started to jump in technological advances started just around the 1900s. Before the 1900s, we were still pulling horses with buggies, and then they started coming out with the Model Ts and started coming out with electricity. It's like, how did we get so advanced in such a short time? In just 100 years, you know. Maybe we are interacting. What did the horse say when it fell over? I guess we're going to know pretty soon. Maybe Mr. Ed wasn't the only talking horse. What did the horse say when it fell over? We are waiting for the punchline. I think there was a comedy club called the Punchline. In California, there were quite a few comedy clubs. I've fallen, I can't giddy up. I've fallen, and I can't giddy up. That reminds me of that commercial. It was for Life Alert. That old lady falls over and says, I've fallen and I can't get up. All senior citizens should have Life Alert. Life Alert saved my mom a few times. It's a necklace that has a button on it. When you press the button, you're talking to somebody, which is kind of good because I see a lot of senior citizens living by themselves, and you never know when they're going to come into have an accident. I like those emojis, the ones where there's a laughing so hard you're crying. I get some of those with the jokes that I tell. A lot of those jokes I make up. That's how I find out if it's a good joke or not. I experiment. So wow, we're an hour and 2 minutes into this and no technical difficulties. How about that? And I can still hear even though my hood is up. Sometimes I put a hood on and I can barely hear. So I guess my hearing is getting better. All the better to hear you with, my dear. So tomorrow I'll bring out a different instrument and I'll be able to play. Then I can add to my arsenal of instruments. And then I'll see if I can remember a whole song. That's one of my challenges. If I can remember an entire song, I'm doing pretty good. Let's see if I can remember one of the jokes I told. It was, why don't birds wear underwear? Because their peckers on their head. There's a lot of jokes that I laugh every time I hear them. What's the difference between a girlfriend? How did that go? What's the difference between a refrigerator and a girlfriend? A refrigerator doesn't fart when you take your meat out. That's pretty gross, but it's funny. I think it's funny. That's what I can do is test out jokes. Is that SpongeBob? That looks like a green SpongeBob laughing. Emojis tell more. Seems like they say a picture's worth 1,000 words.
Accurate time.
Whoever came up with emojis, good on ya. A fire pit would be a good idea right about now. I want to make my own tiki torch. One of these days I'll take I've seen they're called hobo stoves. You take cardboard and you wind it up into a circle, and then you drop it into a can, like a tuna fish can, and then you pour wax in it. What's that? The paradoctical? I forget. Did I misread that? We'll hear the punchline to that one. That'd be cool. We could just share jokes. See if we can come up with or any jokes that you've heard before. You could tell. That'll be part of this show. We could tell jokes. Tell jokes and talk about Sasquatch. I've fallen and I can't get it up. But because the P is silent. The silent P. What do you get when you cross a donkey with an onion? A piece of ass that brings tears to your eyes. Some of those jokes are pretty funny. Because the P is silent. Oh, I remember one about how do you catch a polar bear? You cut a big old hole in the ice, and you surround it with peas. And when the polar bear goes to take a pee, you kick him into the ice hole. I think I told it right. Yeah. How do you catch a polar bear? You cut a hole in the ice, and you surround the ice. You surround the hole with peas, and when the polar bear goes to take a pee, you kick him in the ice hole. I like the one. There was one that was. What do you call one too many? Overdose. Ah! That's a purple emoji. It's a laugh. We get laughs here from time to time. That's what we can do. We'll turn this into a joke sharing session. Who can tell the funniest joke? I like the one-liners. Sometimes my brain freezes when I try to think of a joke. Can't remember a joke or try to remember a joke or how it went. The funnier ones is sometimes when nobody laughs. You tell a joke you think it's hilarious, and you just hear crickets. What do you call a well-balanced horse? What do you call a well-balanced horse? There we go. Oh, it looks like that thing is happening again. I'll have to cut this short. That'll be a timer. That's my timer. When it starts getting slow, stable. That's what you call a well-balanced horse. Stable. A very stable horse that has all of its horseshoes. I guess I can end this particular session. We will do this tomorrow around 5 o'clock when the sun is still out. And maybe some of my shows will be indoors because I notice the sun goes down sooner at this time of year. I think around 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock is when the sun goes down. So I could probably take the show inside. We'll do it from inside the house, which will be kind of nice. We don't have to worry about how cold or dark it gets because we could always rely on the inside lighting. And so I guess I will see you tomorrow around 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, Eastern Standard Time is my time. So Georgia time. And so you can count forward or backward depending on where you are, what time zone you're in. And have a great day. Goodbye for now.